In the 1500s, the wealthy deceived the poor thrice. Queen Elizabeth banned commoners from wearing lavish attire to maintain exclusivity. Facing discontent, she framed it as protecting the poor from debt, showing thoughtfulness. During the Middle Ages, lack of funds limited vacations to holy sites, fueling a lying epidemic. Churches falsely claimed relics, guilt-tripping commoners. In 100 BC, Greek king Mithridates falsely touted an antidote for every poison, captivating people. 2,000 years later, in the 1800s, deceptive schemes persisted for profit. In 480 BC, Xerxes of Persia led a colossal army of 150,000 to attack Greek city-state. Acknowledging the need for time, Leonidas of Sparta chose sacrifice, confronting Xerxes with only 7,000 men at the pass of Thermopylae. The clash saw relentless waves of soldiers sent by Xerxes, but Leonidas and his forces resisted fiercely. Unable to secure victory, Xerxes called for a retreat. In a critical moment, Ethnicies of Trachis betrayed his people, revealing a secret path. Recognizing the impending end, Leonidas allowed his forces to leave. Yet his loyal 300 soldiers stayed, embracing an ultimate sacrifice in the face of certain death. In various empires, brutal sports were prevalent, showcasing the extreme nature of competition. The Mayans engaged in pocatalk, a ball game utilizing hips and knees to pass the ball through a ring. The losing team's captain faced decapitation, and sometimes the entire team would be sacrificed. Vikings had a fiery version of tug-of-war, pulling animal skins over a pit of fire, with losers plunging into the flames. Spoils from plundered towns, primarily women, awaited the victorious. Egyptians jousted in the Nile, rowing at full speed to hit opponents with oars, risking encounters with river crocodiles. Romans excelled in gladiator games, where combatants fought to the death, with wild animals released to alleviate the stakes for the entertained crowd. Julius Caesar's pride became evident in 3 significant moments. Passing through a humble town in the Alps, he asserted, "I'd rather be the first here than the second in Rome." Amid rumors of his wife's affair, Caesar neither publicly condemned her nor spoke ill of her during a trial. He justified her expulsion from his house with, "Caesar's wife must be beyond suspicion." After his rival Pompey was beheaded by the Egyptian pharaoh Ptolemy XIII, Caesar's fury flared. Despite their enmity, Pompey was a respected Roman general, and the pharaoh had no right to execute him. In response, Caesar waged war against the pharaoh and drowned him in the Nile. Baldwin, the Leper King of Jerusalem, faced immense challenges, hiding his face behind a mask and losing sensation in his right arm. Despite his condition, he bravely intercepted Salahuddin's invasion with a small group of men, surprising Salahuddin. Baldwin, holding the true cross, prayed for victory, and remarkably, the 16-year-old Leper King defeated Salahuddin. After Baldwin's death, Salahuddin triumphed at the Battle of Hattin, conquering Jerusalem. Though revenge was expected, Salahuddin, known for his wisdom, granted amnesty, advising against shedding blood, saying, "Blood for blood never sleeps." In their final moments, these historical figures uttered memorable words to their executioners. As Queen Marie Antoinette climbed the stairs to the guillotine, an inadvertent step on the executioner's foot led her to say, "Pardon me, monsieur, I did not do it on purpose." Mary, Queen of Scots, displayed grace as her executioners knelt, forgiving them and expressing hope for an end to her troubles. Irish politician Robert Childers faced his firing squad with a request. "Take a step forward, lads. It will be easier that way." Henry VII's condemnation of St. Thomas More witnessed a poignant scene, with More requesting the executioner to wait and carefully arranging his beard away from the blade, saying, "This has not offended the king." The axe then fell. Hans Scharf, an unconventional Nazi interrogator in World War II, diverged from the typical Nazi ideology by eschewing torture. Instead, he employed kindness, taking prisoners on nature walks, sharing his wife's treats, and enjoying beers together. Scharf's mind games involved asking questions he already knew the answers to, subtly guiding prisoners to unknowingly divulge confidential information. His effective techniques, emphasizing camaraderie, endure in U.S. military schools. schools, showcasing a remarkable departure from traditional interrogation methods. In 75 BC, Julius Caesar was kidnapped by pirates on his way to Rhodes, demanding a meager 20 talents of silver as ransom. Caesar, feeling insulted, insisted they raise it to 50 talents. Despite his captivity, he assumed a commanding role, forging an odd camaraderie with the pirates. Jokingly, he teased about returning to crucify them once free. True to his word, after the ransom was paid, Caesar raised a fleet, returned, and had them all crucified. Showing a peculiar mercy, he ordered their throats slit before the crucifixions. Winston Churchill's thug. Life moments included a White House incident where President Roosevelt accidentally encountered him unclothed. Unfazed, Churchill asserted the Prime Minister had nothing to hide. Interrupted on the toilet by a call from the Lord Privy Seal, he quipped, "Tell him I can only deal with one at a time." On his 75th birthday, asked about fear of death, Churchill boldly declared readiness to meet his maker, adding, "Whether my maker is prepared for the ordeal of meeting me is another matter." Despite a colorful life, his last words were surprisingly brief. "I am bored with it all." Irma Grese, the infamous the gallows trap opened. Tariq bin Ziyad, the Muslim general, was a determined and fearless leader. When he crossed the Strait of Gibraltar to conquer Spain, he faced a much larger force led by King Roderick. Despite doubts among his soldiers about retreating, Tariq had a bold plan. He set his own fleet on fire, making it clear that there was no option to retreat. For him and his men, it was a matter of victory or death. Addressing his warriors before the battle, he said, "Oh, my warriors, where would you flee? Behind you is the sea, and before you, the enemy." Despite the odds, they won the battle and went on to rule Spain for the next 1,000 years. Chosen by God at 17, Joan of Arc, a peasant girl, bravely begged a prince to let her join the battlefield. Despite her young age, the fearless look in her eyes was undeniable. Leading troops in Orleans, she craved the heart of the fray, facing arrows and crossbows with unwavering determination. Scaling siege ladders in the Loire Valley, the English were baffled by her prowess. Convinced she was possessed, Joan became a French icon, but her mortality caught up as she was eventually captured, facing charges of witchcraft and the crime of dressing like a man. The formidable Mongolian princess Kutlun, granddaughter of Genghis Khan, faced high-stakes challenges with her legendary standing decree. She boldly proclaimed that she would marry any man capable of defeating her in a wrestling match. Conversely, if the man succumbed to her strength, he had to relinquish 100 horses to her. According to Marco Polo, she possessed a well-made physique and remarkable height, almost resembling a giant. Men from across the empire tried their luck, but the ferocious Mongol princess emerged victorious in every encounter. In the end, Kutlun amassed 10,000 horses and remained husband-free. Lakshmi Bai, the warrior queen of Jhansi, defied societal norms, mastering swordsmanship and horse riding since childhood. After a decade of childless marriage, she adopted a son. When her husband died, the British refused to recognize the adopted heir, leading to the annexation of Jhansi. Undaunted, Lakshmi Bai joined the Indian Rebellion of 1857, courageously fighting with her child strapped to her back during the British bombardment of Jhansi Fort. Escaping enemy lines, she fought for independence and tragically met martyrdom in Gwalior. Napoleon's unforgettable thug life. Moments during his rise to power, Napoleon famously snatched the crown from the Pope and crowned himself, defying the Church's authority. In the midst of a heated political debate, he boldly declared, "All authority resides in the throne. No, I am the throne." Upon his return to France in 1850, Napoleon confronted 1,000 soldiers sent by King Louis XVI alone, daring them to act against him. None dared to raise their weapons, and allegiances shifted dramatically. Vespasian, a Roman emperor, had both good and bad luck. He started from humble beginnings and got his first chance when he showed brilliance leading a Roman legion. However, he displeased Emperor Claudius's wife at a party, leading to his retirement. After re-emerging during Emperor Nero's rule, his career faced a setback when he fell asleep during Nero's live performance. Struggling, he even had to work with donkeys. Luck turned around when he helped suppress a Jewish rebellion, and Nero died, leading to the Year of the Three Emperors. Vespasian's most unusual policy was taxing public urinals. When his son found it disgusting, Vespasian said, "Money does not smell," holding a coin under his son's nose. 3 cunning battle strategies that defied norms and achieved success. The Greeks, after years of failed attempts to conquer Troy, presented a giant wooden horse as a gift. The Trojans, unaware of hidden Greek soldiers inside, brought it into the city, leading to an easy Greek conquest. In the Battle of Pelusium, the Persians, outnumbered by Egyptians, strategically placed sacred cats on their front lines, exploiting the Egyptians' reluctance to harm the revered animals. Julius Caesar, besieging Alcestis, built dual fortifications, one to trap the Gallic army inside and another to defend against external reinforcements. Simultaneously fighting both fronts, Caesar emerged victorious in a brilliant display of strategy. Commodus, the son of Marcus Aurelius, stands as the sole Roman emperor to have fought as a gladiator. As the cherished heir born to a sitting Roman emperor after a century-long gap, he basked in the adoration of being Rome's golden child. However, the constant praise fueled delusions of his divine status. Indulging in excesses, he neglected the empire's affairs and, to prove his imagined godly strength, took up gladiatorial combat, choosing opponents who were either cripples or dwarves. Charging his treasury a hefty 25,000 coins for each appearance, his mad pursuits bankrupted the empire, leading to civil strife. His demise came at the hands of a hired wrestler, leaving a legacy of megalomania and madness. How Genghis Khan's daughters contributed to his dominance in the East is a tale of strategic diplomacy. Genghis Khan utilized daughter diplomacy, marrying them off to kings of allied nations with specific conditions. His daughters' husbands were required to dismiss their other wives, and Genghis Khan would then assign them to military duty in the Mongol wars, placing his son-in-laws at the forefront of battles, ensured their demise, allowing his daughters to inherit their husbands' kingdoms. As rulers, these widowed daughters served as a protective shield for the Mongol homelands, enabling Genghis Khan to focus on expanding his empire successfully. The debate over Cleopatra's ethnicity remains contentious, with scholars presenting contrasting perspectives. Some argue that Cleopatra, born into the Ptolemaic dynasty of Greek origin, was white. They emphasize her Greek education and cultural identification as evidence of her connection to Greek heritage rather than Egyptian roots. On the other hand, proponents of Cleopatra's Black or African descent point to ancient artworks depicting her with dark skin and distinctive African features. A 2009 BBC documentary exploring the remains of Cleopatra's sister, Arsinoe, suggested an African heritage for Cleopatra given her mother's ancestry. The discussion on Cleopatra's ethnicity continues, and opinions are invited in the comments. Distinctive customs thrived in ancient empires. In Egypt, eye makeup enchanted both genders, with kohl defining dark lines around the eyes. Ancient Rome favored red hair until Caesar's Gallic slaves, making Roman women envy blondes and adopt wigs. Persian women embraced henna for hair dye and temporary tattoos, a practice enduring in the Middle East. Mongol women adorned braids with velvet and coral, adding to their allure with elaborate yet stable headdresses. Ancient Egypt's unique pregnancy test involved women urinating in bags filled with barley and wheat. The emergence of seedlings in either bag indicated pregnancy, with a bonus gender prediction: barley for boys and wheat for girls. Despite the unconventional method, the test surprisingly boasted a 70% accuracy rate. This effectiveness was attributed to the estrogen in pregnant women's urine, stimulating seed growth. Meet Ismail Sharif, the 18th century king of Morocco, whose gaze was deemed lethal, warranting death if met. Ruling with godlike authority, he exhibited peculiar behavior, enslaving every black person in his empire, including the free ones. Notably, he constructed an expansive prison for European Christians, subjecting them to shackles and forcing them to sleep while standing. Despite hating everyone equally, he reserved a special disdain for those daring to look at him or his harem of 500 women. People entering his court had to prostrate, averting their gaze to avoid death. Remarkably, Ismail Sharif holds a Guinness World Record, surpassing Genghis Khan with an astonishing 888 children fathered, a testament to his unique and controversial legacy.